One of the great things about starting to think about plug points into equations as your default move, your default strategy for every math question, is that you start seeing lots of opportunities to use that strategy where otherwise it doesn't even feel related, right? Now, obviously here I have equations, and remember that the answer choices are always part of the question. So if you're looking for points, if you're looking for equations, don't forget the answer choices. They might have what you're looking for. So these are equations. There's an x, so that's pretty typical, but the g is maybe a little bit different than we're used to, but it doesn't matter. The point is those are variables that we could plug things into. So now, because I obviously see equations, I'm looking for points. I'm looking for things to plug into those letters. And it seems like I'm going to get them from the chart, but let's make sure we read the story and see. The table gives the typical weights for 4 different Galapagos finches expressed in both ounces and grams. If X ounces, so right here, this is the X, is equivalent to G grams, which of the following best represents the relationship between X and G? So everything is explained here. Again, not every point needs to be in a perfect XY system the way we learned them in order for them to count as points. We have equations, we have places things can go in, we want to put some numbers in there. So don't bother thinking about the relationship here or whether there's a slope or whatever. Just pick a point here. Let's just do this one, 0.28 and 8. So the 8 goes in for the G and the 0.28 goes in for X. So basically 0.28 is equal to 28.3 times 8. I can put that in my calculator, but also the benefit of this is sometimes you can just estimate things and it's obviously wrong. I know that 8 times 28 is some huge number, not some really small 0.28 number. So that doesn't even make sense. So what I can just do now is continue down the line, right? So if I switch to choice B, that's 8 is equal to 28.3 times 0.28, right? So the X and the G have switched. Now that one I'm not going to do in my head, but I have a calculator. Even a simple handheld will do. So 28.3 times 0.28 is 7.924. So what do you think? Does that work or not? Well, some of you are going to just cross it out because you're like, no, it's not 8. So that's not okay. But it says, which of the following best represents the relationship? And 7.924 is pretty darn close to 8. I'm fine with it for now. Obviously, if we get something else that's kind of close, we can then evaluate the two choices. But I would not throw this away, right? I mean, the SAT does this in lots of cases, especially cases where we have models and stories. We might have to approximate things. That's fine. Just be okay with it. So moving on to C now. So the G is 8 still. So 8 is equal to 0.35 times 0.28. Now this is another one I don't need to throw in the calculator because 0.35 times 0.28 is a very, very, very small number. It's not going to make it bigger. It's not going to get closer to the number 8. So if you want, verify it yourself, but let's just move on. And then same thing here, 8 plus 0.28 is equal to 28.3. No, 8 plus 0.28 is 8.28. So no, this doesn't make sense either. So yeah, there's a little bit of rounding that goes on in choice B, but it doesn't really matter. And notice I'm not checking the other points. And I think this is a very key part of the plug points into equation strategy is usually we're going to be given a lot of points, right? In this case, 4 for the different finches. Sometimes if we have a graph, right, there's just literally infinite points. My advice is that in most cases, you are better off picking 1 point and then plugging that into all the choices and doing it more like an assembly line, right? I'm going to just take this 1 point and put it in everything and just see how it goes. You might end up with multiple answers that work with that point. That's very common actually, especially when the point we pick is the first one, is a 0, is something like that. That's not bad, it's fine. The goal is though, we've eliminated at least 1, maybe 2 answer choices, and then we can choose a new number, a new point, and use that one in all of them. So in this case, the best case scenario happens, which is I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to worry about any of these other points. Only one answer choice remotely fits the first point I chose. So now I'm done. And the reason I like that better is sometimes what people are going to do is they're going to go through all the points in each equation. And you're going to end up in the same place, but I just feel like that's going to result in more work overall. So I don't think that that's the way to go. But, adjust to the situation. But generally speaking, remember, don't finish, don't stop, don't pick an answer until you've tried every answer choice and found a way to get rid of every answer choice. Because what happens sometimes is they do give us a point that works in multiple equations, so we have to be thorough and make sure we eliminate everything. But it doesn't matter if the points are x's and y's, doesn't matter if there's a story attached. If you see equations, you really want to start right away thinking, are there points I can plug in? That's my default move. That's what I'm always thinking on every question.